The gratitude piece is something that I have put in some of my coaching program because we have not seen it fail. You see it fall off when you stop writing down your gratefuls, because as soon as you stop writing down your gratefuls, you'll realize that you start to slip into stinking thinking. You'll start to slip into isolation, depression, and anxiety all over again. Welcome to the Focal Flip Podcast. Every week we take a deep dive into the mystery and stigma behind mental health and explore real-life stories of struggle and triumph. We aim to educate and encourage others as we bring together a diverse group of guests. From the streets to sanctuaries, classrooms to boardrooms, mental health does not discriminate, neither do we. Prepare to laugh, prepare to cry, prepare to be changed. Let's get into it. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Focal Flip Podcast. My chair is empty right here beside me because this is a solo, and I don't think I have done a solo episode since my initial introduction, which was my 12-minute intro, which was my little subtle shout out to AA and their contribution towards my recovery. So the last episode we had John McNeely on here and talking about the power of perspective. Clearly that's something that's super important for me in developing and creating Focal Flip, as this was something that for me was like a life-changing, transformative shift in perspective. So perspective is a huge, huge thing along my recovery journey. That's one of the reasons why I founded Focal Flip was because of the amazing health and wellness that we're able to find through that too, and through different organizations and types of treatment. And it's been amazing bringing that to light. So far, we're I think 6 months in to actually starting this thing, but we officially launched in May of Mental Health Awareness Month. And right now we are in September, which is Suicide Prevention Month. So we touched on that a little bit at the end of last episode, but on this one I want to talk about somewhat of my journey. A lot of folks have been asking me questions about Focal Flip, like why did you come up with the name and all these different things, and there's a lot of really cool stories behind that. Every single thing that I do is incredibly intentional, so none of it is usually ever on a whim. The closest thing to a whim is me deciding to do a solo episode, so like right now. But I wanted to touch on one of the biggest things that started my Focal Flip process, and kind of that experience that I had with it. And so the title of this episode is called Gratitude. I would love for it to be called Gratitude and Grace. I'm not sure if I'll be able to get to both topics in one episode. So we're going to go ahead and get this started with gratitude. Some of the content and everything that I've put out, I've seen gratitude, gratefulness, thankfulness, appreciation, those types of things. And I'm going to be honest with you. When you're in the midst of active alcoholism or addiction, or you are suffering from some sort of mental illness or a compilation of them, you end up being completely clouded to where you basically feel like you're grateful for nothing. And I'm going to walk you guys kind of through that process. So with gratitude, we'll go ahead and start it off right away with basically some of the definitions of gratitude. Like, this is my chicken scratch notes. This is the things that I kind of jot down. I love to read. I love to write down and journal. And I wasn't that good at that until I actually got in recovery. So gratitude, when you look at it, it's the quality of being thankful and appreciative from life experiences, regardless of the situations and circumstances. Okay, so it's a quality of being thankful. It involves positive aspects of life and their recognition. Okay? Positive aspects of life and their recognition. Okay? Now, this enhances overall well-being and fosters a sense of connection with others. Gratitude can be expressed internally as a feeling or externally through words or action. So, when you look at gratitude, a lot of people immediately would think, or I would think that they would think, thankfulness, and appreciation. The gratitude journey for me one that was incredibly transformational, to an incredible experience that started off very, very muddy when I first got sober. For me, I grew up centered around thankfulness, gratitude, appreciation, respect. I grew up on a small little tobacco farm and in the Midwest. So that was a big thing for me. My parents decided, you know what, hey, let's get him involved in church, and they would take me to church as a young child, and which is, in my opinion, I think it's a good framework for righteousness and for good in the way the world works and the way that it's created, and just those things are. And so I admire my parents for doing that. So I learned that. I learned it through the church community as well, just like this thing of appreciation and thankfulness and gratefulness and gratitude towards Christ and towards God. And it was just something that became a part of my daily rhetoric, I guess. I was always very, very thankful. And now in hindsight, I was also very apologetic. So the interesting thing was, at some point throughout my journey, my thanks and my gratitude no longer really carried any weight. They felt pretty empty. I was not thankful. And here's my thing. I was thankful for like material type things. I was thankful for, the comfort and joys and stuff that I had as a young adult. And along the way, there was still something that I could not connect with. So in not connecting, whenever I was able to drink or, substance use or abuse, I was able to feel good, and it made me feel comfortable and like I could be accepted. But inside, I'm obviously not doing well. So with that, I eventually become an alcoholic or an addict, at first an addict and then an alcoholic. But from that whole process, I made a lot of decisions that were like, I was trying to find the next drink. I was trying to find the next drug. And I was so stuck in this web of everything and cover up and hiding. And just, I was completely empty. So it was almost like being a shell of yourself. But as you're existing through life, some of the words that should have weight to them no longer carry it. It just becomes a word. And I felt like that was me for a while, deep inside. Now, through the alcoholism and like actively drinking, no matter what, like if you're on a bender or anything like that, when you go and let's say you admit that you're an alcoholic, or you haven't admitted that you're an alcoholic yet, a lot of people will tell you, you look at everything around you. You need to be grateful. You need to be thankful. You need to be appreciative of this. Okay? Someone who's in active alcoholism or addiction, or even in recovery, when they hear the you needs, it's not necessarily perceived that well. And that's because if you study it, there's a lot of things that the front part of your brain is supposed to do. Substances, alcohol, those types of things will actually make the back of the brain be responsible to make decisions that the front of the brain normally should. Okay? So when you think that someone should be grateful for everything that they have around you, inside they're not. They're not. They can't see it. And I'm telling you this because I experienced this personally, and in folks that I coach as well. We call that the fog. So when I'm in treatment and I'm in recovery, I find myself all the way into rehab, right? And I get into rehab and I'm in recovery. And if you learn through different program type work, especially like Alcoholics Anonymous, a lot of these things will talk about gratitude and gratefuls. They'll say, you need to write your gratefuls. You need to do your gratefuls. You need to be grateful. And when you're first getting sober, after you've made a bunch of, silly decisions and you accumulated a bunch of those, there's really not much. You think you can't get out from under it. You can't. You may be in treatment or recovery, sitting there worrying about the money that you're not making because you're not at your job, but you need to get help or the rest of your family and everybody else will suffer. So do you take that financial risk or So there's that's just one thing. We encounter and experience these things, but it's very, very difficult if you were to ask a person to be grateful in that time. The beauty of the whole flip and step work and therapy and counseling and all of these things is this positive aspect of stuff, which is gratitude, grateful. So here's my experience with gratitude. When I first was in recovery, I had some people telling me, you need to write down what you're grateful for. The very first day that I'm in treatment, I struggled with writing something down that I was grateful for. Anybody that knows me knows I have a ton that I need to be grateful for. Anyone who personally knows me knows how much I should be grateful. While I was in that moment, I was not grateful, and I struggled to find a way to write it down. I did. I struggled because I thought the people that I were grateful for, I had harmed, that I hurt them deep down. Even though they told me I didn't or something, they told me, like, no, I couldn't put it on paper. So I started following and understanding me and why I was doing those things, and start studying the tendencies of what everybody else does. And what I started to do through the help of multiple people was write down one grateful. And one day when I was in there, I wrote down one grateful. When I wrote that down, it became real to me. So as I went through the rest of the day, I ended up coming across another grateful in my mind, and I was like, boom. And I was overwhelmed with all kinds of fear of what to expect, when I were to get out of there. But the process of starting with the one grateful led me to another grateful, which led me to another grateful. And the next thing you know, a few days into recovery, I was doing 5 gratefuls a day. So I'm like, okay, all right. So I'm still foggy and clouded in my judgment. I'm still on some medication, so that way I don't have seizures. So while that's happening, I'm receiving therapy, group therapy, individual therapy, counseling, medical advice, all sorts of stuff. So when I say multifaceted in these other episodes, I mean it's multifaceted, and I think it absolutely has to be. That's why they call it holistic, okay? It's a holistic thing. That gratitude process, those 5 gratefuls, I sat there and thought, okay, hold on here. I got these gratefuls. My 5 gratefuls accumulated to 10. My 10 gratefuls accumulated to 15. And the next thing you know, I find myself every single morning writing down gratefuls, what I'm grateful for. And folks, this isn't Thanksgiving. It's not Thanksgiving. Somewhere along the way, I thought I should only be thankful in November. And we'll all put it on Facebook. No, this is a journey. This is a walk. This is an experience. In my experience of adding the gratitudes together, I started to look, and like I told you, when you write it down, for me, it makes it real. And when I saw 20 gratefuls together, it started to allow my fog to lift and the positivity in my experience with self and spirit and soul, Christ, God, improved. So that gratitude experience is a process of positivity, power, appreciation that we give no matter what. And the hardest thing for me in learning that was how I was able to find gratitude in the difficult things. Because when you're stacking up all those gratefuls, you see everything you're really grateful for. But I ended up challenging myself even farther because I'm a competitor. I challenged myself even farther than that. I laugh at myself right now. So I had 20 gratefuls. But then my next thing was, hold up. You need to change your gratefuls every day. And right now in your life, you need to not repeat the same gratefuls. That's where I was. Don't repeat the same gratefuls. So that really allowed me and enabled me to think and experience life much deeper. Because all your common gratitudes or gratefuls or thankfuls or whatever you want to call it, those are going to come up front. They're going to come up front. But as you start and you have this accumulation of work, eventually you're going to get to some of the tougher stuff. And the beauty behind that is through the step work and through the discovery of self, you'll end up becoming in tune with yourself, and you'll end up becoming in tune with spirituality. And it is remarkable. So when you look at being thankful to people or things or whatever, or say, I'm grateful for that. Now, once you have the walk and you do the walk and you start to manifest it on paper and see and really experience the appreciation of what you have in life. But I'm the focal flip guy. So my immediate thought is, how do I find gratitude when I'm in concrete waking up at 17 degrees in the morning? How do you find gratitude in that? And it's a fantastic question. Everybody's situation and circumstance is different. And those type of things, in those moments, you can't necessarily see it. And it's hard. It's difficult because we do not know it. So the fears have consumed us with that. But what I have learned from that gratitude process, that accumulation of gratefuls, it led me to understand grace. Okay? It led me to understand grace. And I'll try to explain grace because we're coming immediately from, kind of a situation that I laid out that someone would be homeless. All right? Number one, do you all know how many of my friends and actually some business owners that have been homeless? There's a few out there. And as a business owner or as a leader or influencer, they are using that story and their life and their journey as part of sharing their experience, strength, and hope for everybody else. Okay? So for me, grace isn't necessarily comfortable. It's not. I look at grace and I jotted this note down. To be kind, forgiving, and compassionate towards others, even in difficult situations. And we look at it from, religious perspective, spiritual perspective, whatever, unmerited favor or goodwill in a moral or spiritual sense, suggesting humility and acceptance. So I had to find out that grace was not always comfortable. Grace it is beautiful. When you think of the word grace, you can think of elegant, smooth, flowing, walking. And then when you look at it for the unmerited favor, you look at a person that experienced homelessness and complete brokenness and ended up finding their self, finding their soul, finding Christ, and reflecting it into the world. Now, were those times easy? Were they smooth, flowing, and beautiful looking? No. But how many years later did that moment now become beautiful? That's grace. That's grace. Okay? That's grace. We may not see it in the moment. We may not understand it. But it is what it is. Any way you slice it. The difficult things, in my opinion, happen for a reason. And I've found purpose and meaning now. But when I was going through it, I didn't know it. Okay? And it was really hard and it was really scary, and a lot of folks are experiencing that. But not anymore. So from my process of learning and understanding gratitude. The accumulation of these over several days led me into much more difficult to find some gratitude. So then when I got into those moments is when I found the beauty in the tough parts of my past. I was able to find the good. Okay? When I accumulated those days with the help of sponsors and doctors and everything, okay? When I accumulated those days, it ended up allowing me to have appreciation for the tough things that I encountered or I may have induced myself, okay? And with that process and that positivity and that change, while working an active program, it led me to a different understanding of grace. And I'm quite thankful for it. So when you see folks that may post on Facebook or Instagram, Snapchat, gratefuls, gratitude, I'm a firm believer in it. I'm a firm believer in the kingdom. I'm a firm believer in that will help change your perspective or focal flip you and will help you see life with a different lens. It did me. And I'm going to give you the counterpart of it. So I kept and journaled my gratitudes, my gratefuls, every single day for 3.5 years now. And the beauty behind that is I can go back and reflect and see where I was in year one, you know? And then when you look at it collectively, you can see the growth or the maturation or the change of the mind and of the soul. And thankfully of the body for me too. So be grateful. Don't wait till November to write out what you're thankful for everybody to see on Facebook. Write out your gratefuls now. Maybe tell everybody now. It might help. Get your gratefuls out now. And here's a cool little challenge. It's fun. I think you might see that it'll change your perspective. It'll shift your focus, right? Try the gratitude thing. So for those of you who don't know, I am a recovery coach. Here in about 6 weeks, I'll be dual certified. I have one certification right now. I'm through the International Coaching Federation and the International Association of Professional Recovery Coaches. Try the gratitude thing, okay? I have a pretty extensive coaching program that I do for folks, whether it's regarding their physical health and their weight, or it's just that whole mental aspect of it. It's just like a life coaching type things. The gratitude piece is something that I have put in some of my coaching program because we have not seen it fail. No matter where you go, you don't see it fail. You see it fall off when you stop writing down your gratefuls, because as soon as you stop writing down your gratefuls, you'll realize that you start to slip into stinking thinking. You'll start to slip into isolation, depression, and anxiety all over again. So you stick to the gratitude and the gratefuls, and you will start to see your perspective shift. You will start to see people in a different light. Your awareness will rise, I promise. And when that happens, you'll end up being so in tune with your soul, with your spirit, with Christ, that you'll end up developing one incredible gut feeling and sense in life as you're going through each day, period. And for me, that is what my walk is now like. And when my walk is off, or I'm not doing gratitudes, or I haven't done them, or something like that, there's a little bit of a difference in the day. So I challenge everybody to do it. If you're in a really difficult situation right now, you're overwhelmed, you're consumed, or you have absolutely nothing, it's pretty hard for you to see a purpose behind that. But I can guarantee you that there is one if you keep going. There is. There is one. I worked my butt off and struggled for 36 years. Not 36 years. I mean, I was good after college, so whatever, 13, 14 years. But for what? I kept going, but everybody else, once I finally asked for help and did it, they kept going. And people said, do your gratefuls, do your gratefuls, do your gratefuls. And I didn't want to do gratefuls. I couldn't find gratefuls. I was too cloudy. I am no longer cloudy. I'm not. And gratitude, grace, sitting right in front of my face every single day. It's a matter of how I look at it. It's a matter of my perspective. That's what it is. And it's helped me tremendously, and I've seen it in so many other people too. So hopefully you try it. I mean, it's something that's cool. If you don't like the word gratitude, or if you don't like the word grace, then substitute it with a different word or something. I don't know. That's what it is, though. So you may not understand or experience, a specific form of grace for years. For mine, at the moment, it was this one form of grace. And now, as I'm, out here and I went through my struggles and I want to help other people, it's like, oh, wow, I see what you did there. Like, I get it. And at that point, that was me saying, okay, now what do I do with that moment? Now it's a walk, and let's go. Let's just say yes to it. See what it looks like. Start your day, end your day with gratitude. You'll see things shift, and you'll be happy. I mean, you'll find it. You'll make it through the more difficult things, because let them accumulate. Let them accumulate to where they get to where it's more difficult to find a grateful. When you get to that part, look at all of them collectively and start to look at some of the tougher stuff. And you'll see the beauty in all things eventually. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode. Sometimes when I speak, I get very passionate, especially when I'm speaking in meetings or whatnot. When it comes to actual life experience and health and wellness, massive advocate, mental health advocate. You can have a disease or an illness, but I'll tell you right now, try not to be a victim of it. Try not to play that card of it, because what I've found is very simple things that we can do personally and individually to get healthier. So even with having specific things or illnesses or diseases, still do these things if you can. You'll see it change. You'll see a whole bunch of things change. Maybe your doctor's appointments in the future will start to change, and your therapist or counselor's going to be like, man, you're carrying a lot more of a different light. You're not just necessarily bringing me all your bad problems. Well, you're probably not bringing the bad problems because you're starting to see the good and the reason in all of them. You'll see it to it. You'll see it through it. Say yes. Be kind. Be smart. Read. Educate yourself. Okay? On absolutely everything in life. And even with whatever you educate yourself on, find a way to be grateful. If you find that, the power of positivity will trump all of it, and you will move right through things. Jump on with everybody else. You'll be a part of a community. The communities work that way, thrive, period. And I'm glad to be a part of one in Independence, Kentucky right now. With that, I'm rolling at 29 minutes. I'm proud of myself for making it this long. Hopefully I didn't blabber and all too long. But this is my thing. This is my thing. I don't if anybody ever says I overshare on gratitude or grace, I'm sorry. Not really. I'm going to keep doing it no matter what. Like, I have to walk with that flow, and that's how I'm able to keep in tune with my soul, my spirit, God, and that's what that is. And then when I get to experience that, my job, I feel, is to reflect it somehow, some way, and we're going to try to do that through this. And we're going to continue to do it through this, and we're going to be here for everyone, no matter what, okay? No matter what. Everybody is dealing with this stuff. We're not seeing statistics, which is kind of frustrating, but I want people to see them soon so that way you can understand how big of an impact it is right now and what the state of America is like with mental health. And hopefully we can report that for you guys soon. But until then, I love y'all. I am so thankful for the support, the text messages, the emails, the comments. I don't have a lot of subscribers, and I told everybody from the get-go that it wasn't about that for me. It was a matter of fact of getting the content out, and I'm very happy. I'm thankful for all the people that said yes along this process. I'm full of incredible amounts of gratitude, even in the midst of pain today. The beauty behind it now is I no longer have to take a drink when I experience it. With that, I'm out. Love y'all. Okay, you ready to wrap this thing up?
If you like Focal Flips videos, my dad's videos, go to YouTube, Spotify, and Apple, and like and subscribe to be updated.
I love it.